Okay, so let's talk about Sting, which is Worm Arc 26. And I know that I kind of, sort of, almost talked about it, but like I said in that video, was I had this like transcendent experience reading the final interlude. I was like, I need to make an immediate video on this now, once I've had a bit more time to digest it, really see how I think about it, write my notes. I will do a proper video going over all of 26, which is what I intend to do here. Before I do that, quick update. Today is Thursday. On Tuesday, I started Arc 27. Yesterday, Wednesday, I finished Arc 27. Started and finished most of 28. I just have Dr. Mother's interlude. I could not put 28 down. Holy shit. So, next week is the bar exam. I am hoping, because it's in OKC, that driving up to OKC, driving down from OKC, I can get, I think that one's Venom. I think I can get quite a bit of Venom done. Obviously, while taking the exam, all 6 hours of it on 2 different days. That's a lot of time I'm not going to be reading. To put it one way, I probably won't get to Venom or finish it as quickly as I would like, but I still want to make good progress on it next week. The following week, I am going to finish Worm. I might even finish it next week, depending on when I am able to get Venom done. Because once I get to Spec and, what is it, like, Terranol? It's something that I don't exactly remember what it is. When I get to the last 2 arcs, I don't know if I'm going to finish them in a day. I would love to. Just take a day, like, I'm off today. No one talk to me. No one interact with me. I'm just finishing Worm. If not, I might say, okay, Spec is a day. The epilogue is the next day. But I'm going to get it done very soon after. I might take a few days to make sure I have all my videos caught up, all my notes and everything. But that's my update. That's my plan. By the end of, I would say in about 2 weeks from now, I plan on being done with Worm, if not sooner. And obviously that is not Extend Award. I'm not going to be able to read all of that in 2 weeks. So getting into actual Arc 26, this is the return of the Slaughterhouse 9. This is what I understand to be known as the Slaughterhouse 9000 arc, so I've just been calling it the SNK. I really like the SNK arc. It just starts with them killing a few hundred people, and what I love about that is, fucked up as that sounds, like, they killed a few hundred people, hell yeah. It's just the numbers, like, next to a person, 1, 200, like, written in blood, or, like, written on their face and shit. I'm like, that, I can't lie, that's kind of cool. That's sick as fuck. I'm kind of disappointed that it only extended to Killington, because I didn't see it anywhere else. Maybe it was and I just didn't notice it. I was like, oh yeah, it started like a few hundred, and it's not like, oh yeah, as the arc kept going, the number was getting higher and higher and higher. It just kind of stayed stagnant, and it would have just made it feel that much more unsettling. Like when we get to the part with like Purity and Grey Boy, if they had numbers, which, I mean, they're not like dead, but they're basically dead. Like, if it had just been like right next to them, it was just written, I think it would have been super neat. Once they discover Killington and all the people there, there's this scene I really like where Theo just kind of walks up because Jack makes a video and Jack's like, "Hello, Theodore," which that's not how he sounded. The way that the reader made him sound, I saw a lot of comments comparing him to the Joker, and from what the little bit that I heard, it sounds like that was the inspiration. To me, he kind of sounded like Jack Skellington. I got this very Timbo, yes, kind of voice from it, and I'm not gonna lie, I had a good time with that. I saw a lot of people be like, that's not Jack. That's not Jack Slash at all. Like, he sounds like a cartoony villain. I'm like, I don't know. That's kind of what Jack is. Again, like, I like Irish Jack. My friend Anthony is like, I think of him as being like very Cockney because Jack the Ripper, like, that makes a lot of sense. But Jack is a very deliciously evil character. He loves what he's doing. He revels in what he's doing. Ooh, so giving him that kind of voice, like, I don't know, it kind of works. I don't know if it's the direction I would go in if Worm like got a full-on adaptation, but I can kind of see it. Anyways, Jack's like, hello, Theodore. You missed your deadline, which means I get to kill 1,000 people. But admittedly, we got out a little late, so the reason you missed your deadline isn't quite on you. So I'll tell you what, here's the rules of the game. Come find me, deal with my 9, which is not exactly 9 anymore, but it is what it is. If you fail, I will disband the Slaughterhouse 9. Oh, but don't think that's a good thing, because it's not. By disband, I mean I'm just going to let them all go and do whatever the fuck they want. And I'm going to give them all the same directive. Each of them, I'm going to tell to kill 1,000 people. Just for you. So, chop chop, kiddo. And there's this moment when Golem is just like walking away from everyone gathered, which was like what? The Undersiders, some of the Protectorate, shit like that. And Taylor goes after him and she's like, hey, Golem, you can't turn your back on this. This is important, man. You can't break. He's like, I'm not. But I know that this is because of me. And someone needs to grieve for all these people who have died and the people that are going to. This is my burden to bear. I'm not like you, Weaver. I'm not as strong as you. I'm not as calculating as you. And like, don't take this the wrong way, but I'm not as cold as you. You don't need to grieve for these people. You need to be the strategist. Because that's what you're good at. I've known you. I've known of you for a while, but like, I've been your companion these past 2 years. This is the most alive I've ever seen you. You live for this. You live for conflict. You live for being able to, maximize your assets. Again, don't take this the wrong way. I mean it in the best way possible. You are our Jack Slash. That's what you need to do. This is what I need to do. And Taylor's kind of like, that's a fun, that's a fun comparison. And there's a scene later where it's specifically, I think in 27, it might have been 28, where Golem describes, I think it's 27, like how they beat Jack. He's like, look, I thought of him like Weaver, and how Weaver always surrounds herself with bugs because it's shit she can control. Jack always surrounds himself with parahumans because that's something he can control. And that's why, like, we get to the end of this, it's like, I thought maybe the one thing we could use to beat him was a normal person. Because that's the one thing Jack is not as comfortable with. It's the one thing he wouldn't see coming. And it turns out he couldn't because, like, the broadcast started. Like, we'll get to that, but I thought that's super neat. This is not like a big thing, but, like, I really like Taylor working with Colin. We've already seen that in like 25 and I think even like a 23 and shit, but the fact that they have now a genuine working relationship, are they friends? Maybe not quite. I don't know if Colin is actually capable of that with someone besides Dragon. But I think they're about as close as they can be. And I like that, because I think there's even a point where Colin tells her, I think it was in this arc, where he's like, okay, go ahead, like, or it's either Taylor or Colin says, but I think Taylor's like, I'm gonna gather like a bunch of people I know, a bunch of people I trust, and Colin's like, okay, go. I genuinely hope you consider me amongst that group. She's like, yeah, I do. Like, I like that a lot. We also get to see just some of the powers of the 9 like previous members. I don't super remember Winter's because it wasn't an ice power. It was like this cold dampening effect. Like the way it was described, I don't super remember, but it was really neat. You got Chuckles, the clown dude. It's like, okay, so his arms and his chest have super strength. His legs have super speed and his head has super speed because he, like, his perception of the world is like so fast and so fucked he can't communicate or think like a regular person. And because he can't communicate, all he could do was laugh, which is why they call him Chuckles. Like, that, what the fuck? That's so bonkers. And he's also like an evil clown. I thought that was neat. There was Skin Slip, who I think was one of the newer members, who his body and his skin is just comprised of other people's skin that he just like staples on and he can manipulate. The part that made me actively like kind of go, is they describe him using like a skin grappling hook. So I'm imagining he does like a Spider-Man thing, but instead of shooting web, it's just a piece of skin. Like, that's so gross. I loved it, but also just, ugh. Something I also need to point out, because I didn't write this down, but it was something I thought of while I was reading. I don't think I ever heard them use a Shatterbird. Like, a lot of the previous members, there was only one Jack Greyboy Bonesaw. Cherish was everywhere. I don't think I heard Burn Scar either. And I don't know. I don't think that was intentional. I didn't really get to see much of Crawler, but Crawler was there. And we definitely saw some mannequins and Mantins, but I was like, huh, where the fuck is Shatterbird? Where the fuck is Burn Scar? Is that gonna be important later? Like, are they gonna start showing up? Because Bonesaw still has she has the remote to control them. And like during the Scion fight in 27, like they specifically mentioned one of the Chuckles clones. And my friend told me that I know at least one of the Damsel in Distress clones is a main character in Ward, and like that's kind of interesting. So yeah, I don't know if we see more of these clones do shit, because like I'm not a huge on Shatterbird. I just thought that was kind of notable. But I'm a big Burn Scar fan. Just like, I don't know, I just really liked her. I kind of wanted to see more Burn Scar. But anyways, the other one was Screamer. Screamer left an impact. So her power is vocal mimicry and projection, where she can be like 20 yards away and you can just hear her voice in your head. And it can be her voice, it can be someone you know. She can mimic your own voice and just start whispering intrusive thoughts like, oh, this shit is so cool and so creepy. And they paired her with Cherish, who can read your emotions, so Screamer knows exactly what to say to push your buttons. That's not my favorite part of this chapter. I mean, this arc. I mean, obviously, like Scions and shit, but it was so fucking cool, man. I loved it so much. What's some of the other cool shit that happened? There is this one bit, I don't remember if it was in that fight in particular or one of the later ones, because there's a lot of set pieces here, when Eidolon is flying in and then Taylor's on the call with them and is like, no, fuck off. And granted, part of that is, this is something Thea was supposed to do. This is part of the strategy and like the psychology of this arc that I really, really liked. This is Golem's task. And Jack knows that they're going to cheat. That it's not just going to be Golem helping. And the rest of Slaughterhouse 9, no. That's going to happen. But the other members of the 9 aren't just going to tell Jack that they're cheating. Because they want to have their fun. They want to fight Theo. They want to torture him and do the same to whoever's helping. It's not going to be until they start losing that they go, well, this was fun, but you did break the rules, so fuck you. So there's, like, we have leeway, but once we use too much of our leeway, we're fucked. So we have to make sure that once we pass the line, we just kill them all that, like, we're dealing with. And I found that really interesting. So, when Eidolon starts showing up, Taylor's like, look, the second they see Eidolon, they might just immediately pull some bullshit. Bro, you gotta fuck off. And he's like, no, I can be helpful. Who the fuck are you telling me to do this? You're a murderer. I'm a murderer. You're a member of Cauldron. Go fuck yourself. And like, just them shit talking each other over the comms was really, really entertaining to me. I thought that was great. So there's that first set piece. I don't remember what the second round of set pieces was. And then you get one of my favorite scenes in this chapter. I keep saying this chapter. One of my favorite scenes of the arc. And there's a lot of favorite scenes in this arc. It's why it's one of my favorites. You get the scene with Nilbog. We get to meet the Goblin King. And he's wonderful. He's this big, fat, Jabba the Hutt looking fucker. and he's just having a great time. He's entertaining his guests. Jesus, Sir Jack and Lady Bonesaw over here. And then Taylor shows up and introduces herself as a queen. I'm like, I get that. She's the queen of, she's the queen bee. She was the queen of Brockton Bay. She's got the queen administrator. Like, that's really, really, I love that. Like, that little detail. And they're like, oh, if an angel and a devil telling me what to do, who should I listen to? And Jack's saying, ooh, can I be an angel, please? And I loved that shit so much. And Jack is telling him, you need to expand. You've got your city. Your city's lovely. But you can't live here forever. Your creations are dying. They're running out of resources. You're running out of resources. You're a king. You owe it to your people to help them. And even more than a king, you're a god. And with Bonesaw here, we can make you an immortal god who can live and rule forever. Friend, spread your wings. And Taylor going, Jack's right. You owe a duty to your people. A duty to keep them safe. Not a duty to fight, not a duty to send them into war. Jack's just trying to worm his way into your heart and your head. Don't listen to him, King. And then Theo shows up and goes, I'm a neutral party, I'm not with her. And then Jack goes, really? And then Bonesaw goes, really? And he's like, look, I'm not here for you or your subjects, my king. And like, he bows to him before, and I thought that was it. He's like, I am here to represent all the other third parties, the people who will die if you leave. Please don't fucking do that. And then, like, Jack sends Manton after Nilbog. Golem uses his power to get Nilbog out of the way, but then Nilbog's like, you used your power on me, you have to die, you fool, execute him and her. And then so there's this whole shit show that happens. Like, Jack and Bonesaw end up taking Nilbog, and I think later they found him dead. I'm assuming he was dead as fuck. For all I know, he survived, or if they made a clone of him later. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Nilbog died. Taylor and Theo have to fight their way out of, what was it called, like Ellisburg, I think, with some of the other heroes like Defiant. They're like, all right, Dragon, get us out of here. Oh shit, Saint killed Dragon. So, and he's leaving us to die. And Defiant's like, dude, he killed my girlfriend. He's leaving us to die. I'm gonna kill that fucker. I can't wait to bring my hands around Saint's fucking neck. They end up getting out. And then a little bit later, like, shit, there's a portal in there that probably leads to their territory. We gotta go back in, and that's our best way to find the Nine. And while, like, that is like, once they escape and are trying to figure out what to do, and before they decide to go in, they're just kind of watching some of the other fights. Like, some of the cool shit that Tecton's doing, and then, like, Gru's party. I think it was it Gru or Tecton? I think it was Tecton that had to fight. It was the 8 Mantons, because Jack has one with him at all times, as he should. And there's this scene where there's, like, these 8 Siberians, and they've got this cube that seems like it's mannequin-made, that, like, the Mantons are in there. And I don't remember who it was that did it, but someone literally drops a fucking building on the cube to destroy it. Like, that was cool as hell. What? I mean, Siberian really is a stand user, and I don't just mean in the literal sense, although, like, that's just what a stand is, but that sense of, man, this thing is unbeatable. We have no idea how we're supposed to beat this. And then you understand its limitations and its weakness, and it goes from unbeatable god tier power into, oh, that's really easy, actually. And I think that's really neat. Like, I like the balancing of that. Let's see. Nilbog. Dropping a building. Oh, sorry, guess I gotta let the dogs in. Hold up. Probably should have paused it. Totally forgot to. Journey, Journey, what are you barking? Come on, you're just barking to come inside. No, don't be stupid. Oh my goodness. Go on, dog. Sorry about that. Anyways, where was I? I don't remember. I gotta check my fucking notes. Oh, right. There is this one really cool scene where there's a portal opens and Contessa and Harbinger just come out of the portal, pull out guns, shoot a bunch of 9 clones, and then walk back into the portal. It is literally just like they show up, kick ass, refuse to elaborate, and leave. I thought it was dope as fuck. Taylor and her team break into the Nine's HQ with all the clones, and there's a fuck ton of them. And then Jack's like, so here's the thing. These are our, like, nascent clones. They haven't really formed yet. A good chunk of them are Crawler. And he already has his powers, so you're going to want to kill him quick, but you don't know who it is, so this might take a while, and I'm going to escape. And Taylor's like, no, we're not gonna do this one by one. We're just gonna be a fucking problem. Jack ends up playing a video. He's like, I haven't seen this yet, but this is from Grey Boy, and oh boy, Theo, I think you're gonna want to see this. And it's Grey Boy going to Caden, to Purity, Justin. I don't remember what Night and Fog's names were, but Crusader, Night and Fog. And we see Grey Boy get Purity. And I don't know if we actually... there's a couple PRT officers there, too, that he got. There was someone, like, screaming off screen. I think that was supposed to be Crusader. I don't know if we saw him get Night and Fog. I'm assuming if he got Purity and Crusader that he got Night and Fog as well, unless they escaped. And there's a bit where Caden tries to kill her baby to prevent the 9 from getting her, and she's not able to, and Grey Boy has Aster. And Grey Boy takes Aster back to Jack, and then you get the scene with Taylor with a gun, and Jack being like, how do you want to play this? I'll fight you, Bug Girl. I'm not scared of you. How do you want to play? You want to duel? You want to fight me one-on-one? And Taylor takes her gun and is like, okay, I have my targets. And she goes in, does not go for Jack, does not go for Bonesaw. She's like, look, I know I'm not going to be able to fucking kill Bonesaw with her bullshit. Probably not going to be able to kill Jack as well. So let me take care of some of the clones. Like, there's Cherish. Boom. I don't remember who all was in there. It was like a Cherish, a Damsel, like whoever the fuck. Boom, 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 boom. Aster. So I finally got to that scene, and weirdly enough, it's one of the least memorable things to happen in this arc. It's crazy. Like, that's how good and insane this arc is. Something like that, which should be an absolutely huge defining aspect of Taylor's character. I'm like, oh, right, that happened. And in the last 2 arcs, it has not been brought up at all because of all the other insane bullshit that happened. And there's a part of me that's a little disappointed that it hasn't been brought up. Like, Taylor hasn't thought about it. I understand Theo not bringing it up because, as he even kind of says when she's like, hey, your little sister's dead. Did you know, never mind. Because I feel like even Theo's like, I don't want to know if you did it or not. And I don't want to know if it's an accident. And the fact that I'm thinking this means that I know you're capable of doing it, and that's fucked. And I feel like I'm betraying my friend, who I've got a crush on, for even thinking that of you. But you were capable of doing it. Now, as for the moment itself, I really like it. And again, out of context. Like, yeah, baby shooting. I mean, 3, she's a toddler, she's not a baby. Not that makes it any better, I'm just like actual semantics of it. But what I really like about this scene is I'm not sure why she did it. Because I can think of multiple reasons. So is that I want to save this child from a fate worse than death, because that's what Grey Boy is. And it is the lesser of 2 evils. And like, look, even her mom was willing to sacrifice her to make sure something worse didn't happen. I am just fulfilling that. And it's fucked, but there is some nobility to it, because I can see that. Or is it Taylor saying, I want to, like, Jack is I have to make sure we get rid of Jack. And I am going to make sure he can't take a hostage. No one else in this room will take care of the hostage, but I will, because I don't want it to be a problem later. Because it's still Taylor. There's still, she might call herself Weaver. She's still Skitter at heart. That is some fuck shit I could see Skitter doing. It's extreme, and I won't deny that. But I'm like, no, this. And I think that's what makes the scene so interesting to me. Like, this is such a horrible, fucked up thing. It's in character for her to do something like this. But unlike the scene with Walter White and Brock, where I'm like, this is the most fucked up, like, heinous shit you could do. With Taylor, I'm like, it's heinous and fucked up. But I guess that's the thing. It's like with Walter, it is a 1000% selfish action. With Taylor, it's either really selfish, like, hey, we gotta kill this guy, and it's like, the greater good. Or it's, I am genuinely trying to show mercy in my own weird, fucked up Skitter way of doing it. And I find that super interesting. Also, there's the chance that it's not necessarily just, I don't want Jack to take a hostage, it's just, I need to make sure that Theo doesn't hesitate. Which is, it's a very similar mindset of, like, I gotta be cold about this and no one else will, but it's because of how important Theo is here, because that's Jack's target. It's, I have to make sure he doesn't hesitate. I'm taking care of the one thing that'll make him do so. Cold, ruthless Skitter morality. Is there anything I'm missing? So that's it for Taylor's story. Then we get our interlude. So the first one is Saint, which is just showing his perspective of, he doesn't have powers, he's worked with Teacher, he thinks that, like, Dragon is an AI, Dragon is a problem. Y'all ever see any movie ever, you can't give the AI too many powers. Even her creator thought that, so he took care of Dragon, who's dead but can also be revived because she's code. And, like, that is my understanding of it, because she had died against Behemoth, but Defiant brought her back, and they even kind of talk in 28. They're like, okay, we can, like, reawaken her code, but then Teacher gets his hands on her, and they're like, all right, it might not work super well. We'll see. Specifically, the reason Saint kills her is he notes that Dragon is, what was it? Essentially, it's like she's supposed to be fighting the Slaughterhouse 9, but she's still keeping tabs on Saint. And she's, like, hacking to, like, the world's computers and blah, blah, blah. She's like, okay, she's overstepped her bounds. And if it was just to fight the 9, that would be one thing. She's also using it for a selfish purpose. This justifies me getting rid of her. And I'm going to take over all her shit. And while doing so, he's looking at the birdcage, like, all right, what can I do here? What can I do to help Teacher? Notices a bunch of corrupted files. Or I think there were only a few corrupted files. One of them was Amy's. I'm like, why is Amy's corrupted? Is it the kind of thing where it's just like, all right, because of, like, the Glory Girl situation, there's some shit that's, like, super private? Is it just a random glitch? Or is it like is it kind of like the writer signaling that, like, okay, there's some, like, readers, you really need to keep an eye on Amy. Her thing is corrupted and fucked. It's a random glitch, but I am doing it for a reason, because you guys need to know, like, keep an eye on Panacea. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, she showed up again in 27, and she seemed relatively okay and stable. And, like, she talked to Taylor in 28 and seemed perfectly fine. Who the fuck knows? It is Panacea. Golem gets 2 interludes. I don't even really remember what happened in the first one. The first one was, like, some of his backstory shit. Like, all right, he's got a bit of a crush on Taylor and talking about, like, Hook Wolf. He's like, yeah, like, most of my dad's lieutenants were at least respectful to me and kind of nice. Now, Hook Wolf just saw me for the weak piece of shit I was, and he wasn't wrong, but fuck that guy. There's a scene where Jack is, like, riding Hook Wolf like a noble steed, and I thought that was cool as shit. But, the second, and, him talking to Tecton and about how Weaver's our teammate, but she's not really our friend. because she doesn't get close to anybody. It's like, hey man, I know you like her, but don't get too attached. And I don't just mean that in the general sense, where it's like, yeah, it's not always good to get attached to a teammate in that way. Don't shit where you eat, but with her in particular, man, be careful. His second interlude is the climax with Jack Slash, where like he's fighting Jack, and Jack's like, I'm not gonna use a knife, I got a fucking claymore. That was cool as hell. And Theo's able to get some hits in, and then Jack's just trying to talk shit, have fun. He's like, this is what I love, the conversation. Theo's like, no, I'm not falling for that. I'm not talking to you. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. And as it goes on, Jack just says, I'm not having fun. You're not talking to me. You want to kill me, but it's against your nature. Your heart's not really in it. You said you would kill people like me, Theodore, and I just don't believe you. Remember what we talked about? Ripples and impact. There's no ripples from this. There's no ripples from you. You're boring, Theodore. And, like, he gives him the cut. He's like, what did I say? I cut you from crotch to... And, like, fucks him up. And then he just leaves him. Theo does try to bring down a building on him. It doesn't quite work, but it was a really fun idea. Theo is... Oh, sorry, I heard some shit going on. I think Clay just booted up Kuro. He gets badly injured. He follows Jack as much as he can, and his team shows up, like Weaver, Tecton, I think Defiance there. They're like, Chevalier was probably there too. That guy's cool as hell. They're like, okay, dude, you need to stay. You're too badly injured. No, I'm going. Okay, you're going. The climax, like, this is the climax. The way they beat Jack is probably one of my favorite scenes in the story. And I know I say all the time, I'm way more interested in the conversations and the political shit, the ethics. This is one of those fights where I'm like, I had to reread this. So, you've got Jack, Manton, and Greyboy. Greyboy is using his power. Like, I don't remember what happens to their eyes. Like, someone does some shit. Might have been Golem, like, so they can't see very well. And Greyboy's just kind of firing shit, and then you just hear someone scream and scream again and get looped, and it's Foil. So Foil got looped. Parian is, like, crying because this happened. And Jack and Manton are, like, touching each other. Sounded weird. Manton is with Jack, giving him invincibility, and Tecton's right there. So what they do is Tecton makes a fissure right below Manton. So Manton falls and lets go of Jack, so Jack is vulnerable. And then Tecton just fucking punches him. He doesn't kill him, he like punches him in the chest like an earthquake punch. That's cool. Jack staggers backwards, and as that's going on, Golem is making these hand platforms because he gets his idea of like, okay, like I was saying earlier, Weaver surrounds herself with bugs, Jack surrounds himself with parahumans. That's what he controls, that's what he knows. Maybe what we need is not a parahuman. And like through like connecting with Dinah and like asking her questions, like we've only got a few left. Okay, 8 questions left, 7 questions left, blah 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 blah, which was like a really cool countdown. I like that too. He's like, Dinah, I have a plan. Is my plan gonna work? It's the best chance of success. Okay. And he starts making platforms for someone to go across, and it's just a regular ass dude. I like to think it's Coil Sniper, like it's the same dude. Or girl, I don't know. I don't think we got a gender either way. But they just start like hopping around the platforms and foam Jack while Jack is Siberian's there, so not immune, got punched in the gut and is staggered, can't see anything. Jack gets foamed and Greyboy immediately loops Jack. He's like, no, you're my prey. I thought you were gonna be fun. I thought you were gonna be interesting, and you go out like this, you loser. No, I've got you. And then Greyboy fucking dies. So Greyboy's power works on himself, for like if he dies, he just gets looped back and can survive. But Foil, with her enhanced timing, was able to fake getting looped to lure him into a false sense of security and use her weird timing, angles, whatever the fuck, to kill him permanently. I don't even really understand how that worked. I'm like, that's cool. I can almost kind of, like, her faking the loop, I 100% buy. her killing him is like, I almost buy it, so I'll just pretend that I do. And after that, Bonesaw surrenders, and it's like, we did it. We beat the 9. There's still a lot of clones out there, but we beat the main ones. Holy shit. It's done. We saved the world. Huh. What do you know? We saved the fucking world. Interlude ... So, the eponymous worm are these giant space whale, space worm things that are planet-sized and are so big that they consume a lot of resources and are fighting each other for their resources, and they went to war with each other. They have all these crazy cool powers and abilities and shit. There's not a lot of them left, but there are these 2 that are very close to each other, and they don't really have names. It's the Entity and like the Entity's companion. You know, you've got the Entity is like this warrior, and the other one's like more of it's the thinker. And they travel the universe, the multiverse together, get resources. They observe one reality, give it some shards, which is their powers, and see how the shards evolve and develop, and see like, all right, that's a way we can use this power. You know, I never thought of that. Thank you for teaching me this. Now come back to me once you're done, and then the cycle repeats. Go to the next place, release some shards, see how they evolve and develop. Some of them will come back. Some of them are like, okay, I don't really need that one, etc., etc., etc. Then they got to Earth. Earth bet. Did the same shit. Release shards, blah, 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 blah. The last shard that the Entity released was the Queen Administrator, and I love that. I love that Taylor's is the last thing that he got rid of. Like, this is one of the things that's super neat to me. And sorry, I don't know how loud the AC is in the video. I'm sorry if it's drowning out everything I'm saying. The Entity's companion, for whatever reason, and I genuinely don't understand why, I don't know if that's something that we're going to learn, it died. And its shards are dead or dying. Whereas the Entity shards are like completely alive and can evolve. And when its companion died, the Entity, which was now on Earth as almost kind of like an avatar of it, that's still like connected to the greater whole, still has a lot of shards, a lot of strong powers, you know, has this form that is, from observing them for so long, it's like this is the kind of thing that they would worship, you know, it's a flying man made of gold. Developed this strong, deep sadness and grief until this man, Kevin Norton, approached it and was like, what the fuck do you have to be sad about? You're sad, you're strong, you're powerful, you can do something. If you're sad, then make people happy. Because you have the power to do so, and at the very least, even if you're not happy, maybe you could use that to make someone else happy. Fuck you. Go help people. Go save people. And the Entity, having no task anymore, because its goal was, you know, me and my homie go to different places, release some shit, observe, have them come back to us, and boom. But now that my companion is gone, I don't have a cycle anymore. I don't have a goal. I'm listless. But now, maybe I do have a goal. Just save, help, okay, let me try that and see if it gives me direction. So the entity had been doing that. At some point, I don't remember when this happened. It was 33 years ago, but I don't remember exactly where in the timeline. The entity talked to someone and said one word, because they had believed it's like, okay, I think this might be like the one, like this might be a good place, this is our promised land. And so it said a word that it knows humanity associates with the promised land, Zion. It was just misheard as Zion. And the fact that the reason his name is because people heard it wrong is so fucking funny to me. But Zion. And in the modern time, Zion is still helping people because that's what Kevin Norton told him to do. And he still hasn't found that reward or satisfaction. He's just doing it to do it. And then there's Jack. And something they talk about is that Jack has a thinker power that he doesn't seem to understand. And it's the broadcast shard. It is a shard that specifically allows it to talk to other shards. So Jack could communicate with people's passengers. And it's something to kind of talk about. Like, the reason Jack is so successful and so strong and is so, like, in tune with everything is because he has a passenger that's just telling him what other people are going to do. And if it wasn't for that, he probably would have been beaten a long time ago. It's not because Jack is super intelligent. It's not because he's a super good manipulator. He just has that extra power. Which is why a regular-ass person with no powers, thus no passenger, was able to get the drop on him. And I think that's really neat. I saw a meme about it the other day with Glass Onion of Miles Braun is an idiot. It was like Jack Slash is just an idiot. And I don't know, I thought that was kind of fun. Those parahuman memes are so funny. I think my favorite one that I've seen was of Cersei with like her labeled as Taylor just saying, I choose violence. It's like Taylor every goddamn time. Like, it killed me. Anyways, what was my point? Jack starts communicating with Zion, and saying, do you know why I hate you, Golden Man? It's because you're boring and you make no sense. And not in like a sense of like God or blah, 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 blah. Just, there's no art to what you do. You're just there doing things. You help cats out of trees. You're a blank slate. Why is that blank slate good? Humanity is inherently selfish and violent. Why is there no selfishness or violence in you? Why don't you try that? And Zion going, I've been helping people a long time and have not felt satisfaction. Maybe I need to try something different. So he goes above the water, I think to like that original spot where he was formed, and goes, there's land over there. That's Kevin Norton's old home, because Kevin Norton is now dead. Just does some Dragon Ball shit and blows up the entire United Kingdom, and it's gone. And goes, I quite enjoyed that. Well, time to blow up the other coast. And assumedly, and confirmed, because I've read 27, it's Brockton Bay. Doesn't completely destroy it off the map, but does some damage. Now that's a lot of damage. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just wanted to check my notes, see was there anything else about Zion's interlude. I think that's pretty much it. I just think it's super neat. I really do. It was just the entire recontextualizing of the story from his perspective, and like, this is what powers are, this is what passengers are, was just so interesting to me. And it was like I was saying in my immediate reaction video, there's times when a story has redefined and recontextualized itself, and I've thought, this is fucking stupid and I hate it. The fact that I was listening to this and going, I don't hate this. This is actually cool as hell. Is what made me get so excited and love it so much. I was like, this is crazy. And it was right after listening to the climax when it happened to Jack. And I was like, what a great fucking arc. I do have a couple other notes that I want to hit. Number one, they specifically note that Contessa's shard is not from Scions, but it's also not dead. And I don't really know what that means. I don't know if that's just like from another entity. I know she gets an interlude, I think in 29, and maybe we'll get more information there. I don't know, but I thought that was a kind of interesting thing to note. Also, they note that Aiden triggered. Aiden was one of the kids in Skitter's territory. He had a dream about like the giant, because that's something that happens like when someone triggers, like they see the big event and everything, which I'm assuming is them like a seeing Scion's entity. So he saw that, so it seemed like a trigger event was imminent, and his is he can control birds. So it's something that Zion also talks about, is that a shard can transfer, because originally it looks like it was in Danny, and then it went from Danny to Taylor. And he also notes, he's like, it seems to usually manifest with with immense pressure and stress to a trigger event. It's most common in adolescence. And I'm like, that is literally some Cube shit the way you described it. I can't wait to watch Madoka again. I'm like, fuck you. But it does kind of make me wonder then. It's like, so Taylor clearly still has the Queen Administrator. Aiden's is similar. And the Queen was the last shard released, so I don't think Zion has released any others. Does that mean it can kind of hop? So like Taylor still has the Queen, but some of the Queen is now in someone else? Is that how that works? I don't know, but I don't know. I think that's kind of neat and super interesting. The other thing is throughout the arc, or excuse me, throughout the interlude, there's these words that keep getting highlighted, and it is the names of the previous arcs: Gestation, Shell, Prey, Sting, etc., etc. And they note Extinction, which was the name of this one, and Cockroaches, which is the name of the next one. But I noticed they weren't in order. Like, Chrysalis happened before, like, Prey and Snare. And I think Shell, I don't remember what 2 and 3 are, but I think Shell was before the 2 of those. And I remember listening to it and going, I get what this is. It's naming all of the arc names, and I think that's really cool and super neat. If it had been in order, it would have gone from just like, okay, that's neat, into holy fuck territory. And the reason it would have been holy fuck territory is it would have been that extra layer of context. As is, the arcs are all like related to what's going on. Like, okay, Sting, it's an arc where like it's very violent, it's gonna hurt kind of thing. Like, I get that. Or like Prey and Snare, I think, are Slaughterhouse 9 arcs, which feels very fitting for who they are. They're all kind of bug related in some way, but also related to what the fuck happens, and I think that's cool. And it all kind of coming back here is also cool. If it had been in order from his perspective, it shows that the title of the arcs is not just about what the arc is about and showing Taylor's growth, it's showing his. And maybe that's the point, is that because it's not in order, it's like, no, this is still about Taylor's growth and her story, not related to her shards. But I think it would have been just that much cooler. And it gives, for me personally, it would have made him feel even more important. Like, this has really been his story the entire time, and we just didn't know it. Instead, he's a very big part in the story, but it's still Taylor's. And not that there's anything wrong with that. She's a really good character. But it would have just taken it from, like, yeah, that's a neat detail, to, holy shit, I now have to look at the story in a completely different way. The only other thing I wanted to bring up, and this was just kind of something I thought at, and it was like from her interacting with Colin and seeing how much their relationship has changed, is who is her nemesis in terms of this story? Is it Zion? Like, he's the final boss. But there's nothing personal there. There's not really a beef, so I don't think so. Because early on, she said that's Colin, and early on, I think it was. But then they wasn't really a factor for her anymore, and now like they've certainly gotten past that. Is it Emma? I think for Taylor, it's Emma. Shadowstalker, kind of, but not. I feel like definitely not to the degree that Colin was. I think you can make a very strong argument for Jack. I think that was it, because I think Theo had said, like, Jack is your nemesis, or, like, he's your equal. I think you can definitely make an argument for Jack. I think there was someone else I wrote down as a possibility. I think I wrote down Amy. Oh, yeah, it was the Endbringers as well. It was, like, the Endbringers, like, almost in a sense, but it's not as personal. Even with Jack, it's arguably not as personal. But I think she kind of almost sees herself as such, as like the worthy opponent. Amy is not her nemesis because they're not really enemies. She's just her foil. Like, Amy is her mirror image. The hero who became a villain, and then the villain who became a hero. And they're still both operating in the gray area. And then you see in 27 where Taylor believes that her dad is dead. Maybe he is. And then she sees Amy with her dad and is like, I'm unreasonably angry that you're happy with your dad. Not anything toward you, but because that's what I want. And how, like, in 28, as they're having this conversation, and Taylor's saying, I think you should be on the front lines helping. I think I would be useless on the front lines. Like, I get that, but I don't want us to have needed you, and you regret being there. And then Amy countering with, see, here's my perspective. I don't want to be needed after the fight, and then I'm not there because I was fighting and died. And it's like both of those make perfect sense to me, and they're equal but opposite. And that's what I find so interesting about their relationship. And it's like, yeah, like Taylor has this power that's very offensive but just wants to help people, and then Amy has this power that forces her to help people. She just doesn't want to. That's why she's my favorite character. I just find her whole being, her whole shtick, super interesting, and her being Taylor's foil makes it even more so. So that was arc 26. It's clearly one of my favorites. Like I said, I'm done with 27. I'm going to be done with 28 very soon, like later today. I don't know when I'll do the videos on them. Like, I've got notes. I haven't written them down. I feel like 27 is an arc where I don't really need to write a whole bunch of notes down to talk about. It's like, here's kind of the main bullet points. 28, I might want to get into the weeds a little bit more. To the scene when it's Taylor, Lisa, Aisha, and Rachel walk their separate ways to see who the dog follows. So funny. I'm like, dude, this is like playing Soul Silver when you've got like a fucking legendary behind you. This is absolute gold. Arc was loved it.